It's called Achieving a Sustainable Competitive Advantage. The goal of the book was to take what had, well, it was probably an art form and turn it into a science that anybody could do. You didn't have to be born as Steve Jobs or somebody like that in order to do these things, because we found that there are certain things you can do to achieve that. And what we're going to talk about today is called strategic alignment. If a company aligns itself strategically, then it will see fairly quickly improving performance, fairly quickly. And then, over time, sustainable competitive advantage. This will take several years, which a former chairman of IBM called the holy grail of strategic thinking. Now, what is sustainable competitive advantage? Most companies, because of competitive price pressures, their profit is rather constrained. Hopefully they cover their costs, and they have a little bit left over, just what they need to attract a small amount of investment capital. And that's the way 80 to 90% of the companies operate. But some companies find that they can give the customer a reason other than just price to buy from them. That's a theme that we're going to talk about this morning. And those companies make significantly higher margins, particularly gross margins, than the standards in their industry. And if you make a higher gross margin, if you don't squander it, then you make higher profits. The people in these companies, they don't sit in a dark room with PowerPoint studying markets. Markets don't buy anything. Customers do. When Jim Senegal was still the CEO of Costco, Costco's headquarters, you may know, is in Issaquah, right across from one of their, what they call warehouses, which is where we all go when we go to Costco. And that happened to be the one at the time that I shopped at. And he travels all over the world. He, by the way, was not only the CEO, he was of the two founders of Costco. He was the one that was the strategic guru, and he created Costco himself. And you could go into the warehouse to shop, and there he was, on the CEO of all of Costco, on the floor, talking to customers, watching them, seeing what they do, and talking to employees. Costco, everybody know what a SKU is? SKU? Mm-hmm. Costco has about 5,000 SKUs in their store. To compare that, Walmart has about 150,000 in one of their stores. And of the 5,000 SKUs that they have, 4,000 of them never change. It's what's in the back, the meats and the bakery and all that stuff, and the books and the other stuff. And then about 1,000 of them do change. And those tend to be the things as you walk in that are along the side that you can see, you know, trying to get you to make an emotional decision to buy something. And but he honed it and honed it and honed it because he got to know his customers better and better and better than anybody else. And he's just blown the socks off of Sam's Club. It's just in comparison.
I have a question. So I hear a lot of people who are starting businesses and they haven't really done the marketing research or knowing the customer, and they create this need in their head, as you're saying. And so how does one do that when they're starting? I mean, when you're saying when you're talking about all this, I keep thinking of Bella, which I think has done a really great job in their whole strategic planning, and but other companies just, you know, they love great better.
Yeah, they do, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But usually, if a startup company gets it even close to right, they're going to do well because the startup company knows that without the customer, they're dead. And so they almost naturally get to know their customer and the customer need. The trick is when, like what happened at Costco, the Senegal, who as far as we know was in perfect health, but he was 73 years old, and he finally just stepped aside because the analysts and everybody were giving him so much, what's your succession plan? So he finally just stepped aside to somebody else. And so far it appears that they handed it off correctly. The jury's still out in Apple as to whether that happens. But that's the key. FedEx is still run by the founder. And a lot of those companies, Google's run by the founder. UPS has had many changes in CEO because it was started 100 years ago. And they seem to have gotten it right. They understand their customer and they understand what's doing, and they always promote from within. They never
Rejecting a premise I grew up with, or at least reframing it, which was money follows vision. I don't hear that in what you're saying. I hear financial sustainability follows relationship development. And I guess if the vision is contextualized by the relationship that you're seeking with the customer, then you could say that, but you have to include that caveat in your paradigm.
Yes, and you will see, and this is not an event, it's a process, that as the CEO primarily, and the subtitle of this book is The Playbook for the CEO, and there's a reason for that. Because this is one of the things that the CEO cannot delegate. The CEO must be like a Jim Senegal. He must get out there and interface with the customer and understand what that customer needs and where those needs are headed. And if he does that, and he gives the customer reasons other than just price to buy from him, then he's going to charge a little bit more because they're willing to pay it because of the total experience of doing business with that company. Think back, what's on that list? Google, Apple, anybody here, you've got an Apple computer. You paid a lot for that thing.
I have 4 of them, actually.
You paid a lot 4 times. Do you have an iPhone?
I have an iPhone.
You paid a lot for that.
That's how they hooked me.
It's that difference that brings them back, not your price. I mentioned this before, and this is another one of the concepts that you've got to accept. If you don't give the customer a reason other than price to buy from you, then he or she will make that buying decision based on price. And you don't want to be there. And if you don't believe me, go ask Kmart. The mission also defines and prioritizes the company's values and principles. And these are important because before you can empower your employees, and you can't do it to start with, they need to understand your values and principles because that's what's going to determine their decision making, not a memo that you wrote.